Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here, and one of the things I like to talk about is cartoons, because I am a lifelong cartoon fan, and I do love the Looney Tunes cartoons, among many others. And we recently got Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 1 from Warner Archive. And I went through that one on the channel before. But now we have Warner Archive presenting Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 2. And they say, there's no dispute the Warner Brothers cartoons are the funniest animated shorts in all of film history, and their classic stars Bugs Bunny, Tweety and Sylvester, Porky Pig, Roadrunner, and Wile E. Coyote, to name a few, are the most popular of all time. This second collection of rarely seen gems features 25 more titles that have been requested by collectors and connoisseurs. Bugs Bunny takes the place of the Roadrunner. Porky Pig scours the woods for the Grover Groundhog. Charlie Dog seeks the next owner in Mother Italy. It's Amata for you. Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 2 is the first, last, and only choice for laughs at 24 frames a second. So, it says 25 more shorts. I thought there were 27, but I could be wrong. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through every single one that is in this, and I'm going to talk about, just briefly, what they're about and the director. You've got a range of directors, but some of my favorites that ever did Looney Tunes shorts, like Tex Avery, Chuck Jones, and Frank Tashlin. But let me get into this. I'm going to go in the order I think they appear on the disc. So we start with Behind the Meatball from 1945, directed by Frank Tashlin. This is a dog starved for meat, goes to different lengths to get a steak back from a little dog that keeps outsmarting him. So starting with Frank Tashlin, and then another Tashlin, we have Brother Brat from 1944. A Rosie the Riveter type woman is in need of a babysitter for her awful child. The only person available is the clueless Porky Pig. His only instructions are to use a book of child psychology. After fruitless attempts to control the brat, his mother returns to show Porky how to use the book as a paddle on his little behind. So, of course, Mel Blanc doing voice characterizations on pretty much all of these. Okay, next up is Catty Cornered from 1953, directed by Friz Freleng. Rocky the Gangster kidnaps Tweety Bird for $1 million ransom and holds up in an abandoned city building. Okay, so that's one. And then next we have Cross Country Detours. This is directed by Tex Avery from 1940. A wacky travelogue takes us to the forest of Yosemite, the rocks of Bryce Canyon, the frozen wastes of Alaska, and the desert wastes of New Mexico, the Grand Canyon, the Colorado River, and the giant redwoods of California. I always enjoy Tex Avery's cartoons like this, where it's supposed to be sort of a travelogue that's done in a serious way, but it ends up just being very jokey all the time. It opens with a joke of a guy walking up to a bear. There's a giant sign that says, don't feed the bears. He looks around and he tries to hand him a sandwich, and the bear stands there for a second and then yells at him and is like, "Can't you read?" That kind of stuff. It's just silly, but I like it. So anyway, Daffy's Southern Exposure next from 1942, a black and white one, directed by Norm McCabe. It's dead of winter and Daffy Duck is starving. Fox and Weasel invite him into their cabin and feed him beans, but they have an ulterior motive, namely eating Daffy. Next up, we have Ding Dong Daddy. This is also directed by Friz Freleng. It's a dumb mutt falls in love with the metal statue of a greyhound. Don't remember that one. The Eager Beaver, directed by Chuck Jones. Chuck Jones, probably my favorite Looney Tunes director. I mean, Tex Avery and Frank Tashlin did some great cartoons, and they're real close, but Chuck may be the one. Eager Beaver, 1946. Anxious to get to work with the big guys, damming the river before the flood hits, a little beaver keeps getting in the way of their work. Finally, the foreman sends him off to chop down that big tree way over there, in quotes. Meanwhile, the flood rushes closer and closer. Then we have Fair and Wormer from 1946, also directed by Chuck Jones. One Long Chase. Worm chases apple, bird chases worm, cat chases bird, dog chases cat, dog catcher chases dog, dog catcher's wife chases dog catcher, mouse chases dog catcher's wife, with occasional interruptions by a skunk. Okay, then we have Finn and Caddy, 1943, also Chuck Jones. Quote, as everyone knows, the narrator begins, goldfish must have water and cats hate water, and so it goes. So it's just kind of like a cat trying to eat a goldfish. From 1943. Then we are on to From Hand to Mouse, 1944, also Chuck Jones. Spare me, pleads the little mouse to the dumb lion who just caught him, and someday I'll save your life. Once out of the lion's clutches, though, the mouse taunts, sucker. Okay, 1940, Ghost Wanted. I remember this one. Chuck Jones also. An inexperienced little ghost tries out for a house-haunting job, but winds up getting terrorized by the fat ghost interviewing him for the position. Tex Avery is a voice in this one, I guess, but it's directed by Chuck Jones. That's funny. Greetings, Bait, 1943. Friz Freleng, a worm reminiscent of Jerry Kalana, is lowered into the water and uses various guises to lure fish. He also tangles with a crab. All right. Then we have Amateur Night from 1939, directed by Tex Avery. It's amateur night at the local theater, and a procession of bad acts comes and goes. Various a magician and some actors, but they keep getting interrupted by an egghead singing, she'll be coming around the mountain. Then we have Hairbreadth Hurry, 1963, Chuck Jones. Now, this is one that, or at least, I can't remember how many of these there were, where Bugs Bunny stands in for the Roadrunner. There's at least a couple. This one's, again, directed by Chuck Jones, but very funny to see Bugs in the Roadrunner role, sort of commenting meta on the whole, Roadrunner Coyote thing. From 63, Hairbreadth Hurry. Then we have A Hick, a Slick, and a Chick from 1948, directed by Arthur Davis. A mouse named Emma, who's a bit of a yokel, goes to beautiful Daisy Lou to woo her. However, he finds her with the slick Blackie. Then we have Hiss and Make Up, 1943, Friz Freleng. An old woman has a cat, a dog, and a canary. The cat and the dog fight even worse than normally. Fed up, she tells them both off, then threatens to throw them both out if there's any more trouble. Then we have A Hound for Trouble, 1951, Chuck Jones directing. Kicked off a boat in Italy, Charlie forces himself upon a pizzeria owner. Donning his best Italian accent, Charlie sets to work as a waiter. Charlie's a dog. Let's see here. Astonishing and horrifying the customers with his barefoot, grape stomping, and musical rendition of "What's the Matter for You?" And I Want to Be a Sailor is next, from 1937, directed by Tex Avery. Mama Parrot is teaching her youngins to say Polly want a cracker, but little Peter doesn't want a cracker. He wants to be a sailor like Dad. Mom tells him that what a no-account his dad really is, setting sail for Hawaii. No, Ma, it was Catalina. Right after the kids were born, Peter is unswayed and takes off. He turns a barrel into a boat and crews it with an annoying, talkative duckling, and then sets sail on a lake. They get caught in a thunderstorm. Peter calls for help, and Mama comes running. The duck has already saved him, but he still wants to be a sailor. Okay, so next up, The Leghorn Blows at Midnight. That's pretty funny. A play on the movie, I would assume. The horn blows at midnight. Anyway, Foghorn Leghorn tricks a naive young chicken hawk into believing the barnyard dog is a pheasant. This is from 1950, directed by Robert McKimson. Lickety Splat, 1961, directed by Chuck Jones and Abe Levito. Wile E. Coyote chases the Roadrunner with roller skis, a bow, a rifle, a boomerang, an anvil, several exploding darts let loose from a balloon. So that's just a classic Roadrunner Coyote. Next, One Meat Brawl, 1947, Robert McKimson. On Groundhog Day, Porky Pig goes hunting groundhogs and takes his dopey dog, Mandrake. They soon encounter Grover Groundhog, who is none too thrilled to be the objective of a hunter on his big day. Next up, we have The Penguin Parade. This is the earliest one in the short collection, I believe. It's from 1938, directed by Tex Avery. An Evening at a Nightclub for Penguins and a Walrus or two. The stage show includes an appearance by a penguin incarnation of Bing Crosby, who sings a jazzy version of When My Dreamboat Comes Home. The band's 3 singers do a scat version as well. This is followed by a full swing band instrumental of the song, which works the band into a hot jazz frenzy, literally melting some of the instruments. Then we have Rabbit Rampage, 1955, directed by Chuck Jones. Bugs Bunny is playfully harassed by his animator. This is one of a couple that they did like this. Chuck Jones. Duck Amuck is another one where Daffy Duck is harassed by the animator. But this is a fun one and definitely a lesser seen one. Rabbit Rampage. Excited to watch that one actually. And then Rebel Without Claws, 1961. Friz Freleng. The Confederate Army wants to get an important message through to General Lee, but all the carrier pigeons have been shot down. Tweety steps in. And then lastly, The Wacky Worm, 1941, directed by Friz Freleng. A singing worm is pursued by a crow, moving in an amazing variety of ways while escaping. It then hides in an apple, a toothpaste tube, a Victrola, a toaster, an alcohol bottle. This gets him soused enough to challenge the crow directly. He finally hides in another apple. So that is everything that's included on this Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 2 set. The transfers look pretty solid. I mean, some of these may be older elements, so they don't look quite as bright as some of the best restorations I've seen, but it's all pretty solid, and these are rarities. So the only thing I would have maybe liked is a little commentary action from some of the folks they use occasionally on these. Jerry Beck, for example, or something like that. But, nonetheless, a pretty solid collection of cartoons. If you're a fan, this is definitely something you're going to want to pick up. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.